Welcome back to the next video of how to be a better series. This is going to be the second episode out of majority vote. A lot of people voted for jungle, as jungle is one of the most vital roles, I think, in any MOBA and especially in Predecessor. I think it's a very large category to cover, and I'm going to try to simplify it as quick as I can, and as short as I can, and as simple as I can. There's a lot of scenarios in this game that you can encounter during your matches, and it can definitely affect your game completely, especially your mental. Jungle is really hard to play, and one of the most difficult roles. So you just kind of have to bear with it. It's going to take a lot of practice. You're not going to be good at it after the first try. It's going to take a lot of practice and a lot of understanding of core mechanics. You also have to consider a lot of map awareness, character placement, team comp, strategies that involve like team fighting. It's very, how do you say? It's very complex into how many ways the game can go depending on your playstyle of jungle. Me preferably, I like to be a little bit more on the aggressive side and try to take control of the map. That's really important as jungle because you can definitely control a lot of the situations, and you'll come to realize that once we get into the video. I do want to say that this is recorded during a live broadcast, guys, so anything I'm answering is going to be probably questions from viewers or during the live stream. If you're interested in watching the lives, check out the description below. Without further ado, let's get started. First, I'm going to jump into an AI match and cover the basic concepts and expectations of the jungling role, and we're just going to try to cover what we can. If you have any other questions that you guys want me to cover, or any scenarios that I didn't cover in the video, leave them in the comments, and I'll probably try to respond to them as quick as I can and get back to you. If you're interested in, keeping in the loop during current time, go ahead and join the Discord. That'll also be in the description if you're interested in that. Okay, so one of the key things about jungle is your character selection. The roster is going to depend on the enemy team and on your allies team. It also can influence the way you're going to play the jungle. Not every character in the jungle could be a tanky. Not every character going to be in the jungle can be squishy. Not all of them can be played as assassins. Not all of them can be played as, secondary objective takers. So there's variations to the jungle and different playstyles to this, and that's something to consider. As you can see, I'm going to use this map here just because it's briefly on the screen. There's going to be quite a few camps that you can clear. Obviously, the regular jungle camps, the 5, the 2, the 3, etc., the 4. And there's secondary objectives like Feintooth and Orb Prime, which is all the way up there on the opposite side of the map, right above my mouse. There's red buffs and blue buffs that you can take to help you strategize your next move, and who can take more advantage over those buffs. We will cover that too. So as you can see, the jungle is pretty small, but it's someplace you have to go to other lanes. Me personally, I think for this video, we're probably going to consider picking a character that's going to have an impactful objective take. So, for example, what I would pick for this video would be Chimera. You can take Zarus. You can even take Richter. Richter's good. If you want to play a little bit more mobility, ganking potential, definitely consider Bang Mao, Kalari, Countess, Crunch, Rampage, etc. But for now, we're going to go with a big old basic Chimera. He's all well-rounded. He can gank, he can take objectives really, really easily, and be great. So for now, we're going to cover Chimera. As well as if you're familiar with every character's kit, that helps a lot. I recommend playing and learning every role before you play jungle. The main reason I say this is because if you play jungle and you don't know how the other lanes operate, you're gonna have a harder time digesting of what is expected, what to do, because each role plays differently. Obviously, middle lane is a little bit more combat, pretty fast paced. Off lane is a little bit of a also a complex role where the 1v1s matter. Have the longest lane out of all 3 lanes, and ganking there can be really easy or really hard to do. Dual lane builds slow, and you kind of have to understand when to engage and when not to engage, and etc. So I recommend playing every single role before you're playing jungle. I will cover those in the next video, so be out for that. And yeah. So to start off, I do want to cover something, basic strategies that I typically do and would recommend is if, for example, I am playing Chimera, the red buff is obviously going to be great for me because I get DOT damage after every basic I hit, and the blue buff wouldn't really do that. It helps me with more mana control, so it'd be great for like Countess, shouldn't be mage users like Aurora, etc, etc. So what I like to do is around 25 to 20 seconds while you're backing, place a ward on that jungle and then switch to sentry so you can de-ward areas. What this allows you to do is at least take your red comfortably without having to realize that somebody's invading your blue side. For example, they may have a Kalari, or even if it's just a rampage, he might just go over there and take your blue camp, right? And you want to know where he's at, because it can definitely help your dual lane for a potential gank on level 2, and or it can help you realize that, hey, my blue camp's being taken, let's have mid lane and dual lane be proactive and group up and stop the invade, which can definitely change the pace of the game. For example, I just took my red, let's say Rampage took my blue, or is trying to take my blue. Tell everybody, guys, back up, let's go tackle the jungle. That means mid lane, dual lane, let's go jump him, let's go make him waste his blink and take this objective for ourselves, just so we can secure it. It'll put the other jungler behind significantly, because now they have to return to base, get their health back up, spend a little bit more time traveling to the red buff, and eventually taking it. You'll encounter times that the ward does not last long enough. In this situation, I told you to do it around 25-20 seconds, which, as you can see, lasts up to 3 minutes, which is pretty good amount of time. Something I forgot to point out is using your siphon. A lot of people like to use double siphon on these buffs. I would not recommend it, because if you use double siphon at the beginning of your siphon, you allow your chance of being invaded to be more successful, because now your smite is down and the jungler's smite is up. By the time you hit this mark, more than likely your smite will not be back up, and they can just take it from you, stun you, take it from you. And you also want to avoid double smiting these buffs, because once you take this, right, you're gonna have 1 smite left, and you want to save those for the big objectives. Always have a smite up for this objective. As you can see, the timer on the Fangtooth is about to be up. You want to save that smite for this Fangtooth. You don't want to double spend it in the same place. So that's something I wanted to cover real fast. So here at this point, you could technically gank as level 2 as Chimera or some certain other heroes. As you can see, this dual lane is overextended past the fog wall in the middle, which is a perfect opportunity to gank. That's something to consider. And if they get away and use their blinks, that's a W for you. But I would technically recommend getting level 3. If you get level 3, you have an easier time, you have a bigger kit, you get a little bit more base armor, a little bit more base health regen, and defenses that can allow you to do something. Okay, so that's probably the one thing I will recommend. And around this time, the mid lane rivers should be up after you got on level 3, got in a gank. Rivers should be up. Right now it's not here because I kind of delayed it. But you take that, and you always want to go either for a gank in mid if they're contesting the other river buff with your mid lane, and have your mid lane join and try to fight. Obviously this is bots, he's not going to help me for shit, so we're just going to leave that. That's just a point in case scenario. As well, after you've done all of that, you can essentially back at this time, or you can invade. If you're not beat up enough and you have a little bit more time than the other enemy jungler, you can definitely try to invade and try to steal camp, like so. Contest them. You can probably even get a kill at them because we punished the jungler for invading me earlier. And we take those and we invade and or back. Okay. It's okay to skip camps if you're trading it off with a good gank and or controlling river buffs to allow your other lanes to win. Now this is one real big thing that I want you to know as a jungler. You're gonna get flamed. It is the hardest role. People are gonna shit talk you all the time and give you negative feedback. Trust me, do all you can to help your help your lanes win. Something to note is that it's not the jungler's job to win your teammate's lane. Okay? What does that mean? That means it's not your job to make sure that Doodle Bob all the way on the right is always winning his 1v1s. Okay, it's not your job. Sure, you can go help and gank and give them the lead, but once you give them that lead, it's their responsibility to hold their own and deal with that lead on their own. It is not your job to keep babysitting somebody that's going to keep losing. Okay, I see that mistake happen so many times. Okay, your lanes are going to lose and some lanes are going to win. This is how I kind of prioritize things. This is my tier list of who to help first. It really depends. If you're playing ranked, obviously it's duo comp. You can duo with a partner. I would always prioritize helping the person you're in comms with. Okay, you guys have the easiest access to talk to each other and coordinate a lot easier than you do the randoms. Okay, Doodle Bob on the right is not gonna know what to do or what to expect because you just don't have those vocal commands, you know. Meanwhile, you do with somebody on Discord or, you know, whoever's in your party. That's the number one person I would help. For example, let it be my mid lane. I'm gonna help my mid lane a lot more than my off lane, maybe even my carry. Well, I mean, depends how the flow of the game goes. After that, I would definitely consider helping the carry lane. The carry lane would be the top priority if you're not in comms with anybody. The reason I say this, you want to help the carry get big over throughout the game, give them that lead, give them the potential to scale. Because once they scale and snowball, it's really hard for them to fall off. Secondly, I would definitely help your mid lane if your carry or duo is not doing well. You try to help them, but don't stick to them too much. Go help your mid lane. Mid lane comes in second in command when it comes to helping them. The reason I say this is because they're very impactful in team fights, depending on the comp, obviously. Like Gadget here has a AoE ult that's great, and the more fed she is, the more she's gonna hurt in those team fights. So she's gonna be a really big priority. And since I'm Chimera and I'm a tank, that leaves off lane a little bit more of a last because typical off laners are tankier majority of the time. And you already have one tank, you have one initiator, me, the jungler. You can help them. You can possibly win games with offlane. It's possible. I'm not gonna say it's not, but I'm definitely gonna say that it's gonna be one of the hardest lanes to help you win the game. While they can be impactful, they cannot be team-changing impactful, because your main source of damage is definitely coming from the mid lane or the carry. So that's one thing to know. Okay. One next topic I do want to cover, which I hope happens very soon, is if your lane is dying and falling behind. Let's say mid lane falls apart and it starts dying, and he has to back. You know what they say when they get mad for you for taking lane minions? Like so. You don't want to do this. You want to allow your team to farm and try not to soak up as much XP. If you're in the case of like, okay, you maybe need 1 or 2 minions to soak up, just stay in the fog wall or maybe come out, do a little gank, get a little level out. We typically don't want to take the lane minions because it doesn't help you significantly as much as it does the laners. The only times I would suggest taking the lane is if they're dead for the next 20 seconds or so and they're already right here. By the time they get into the tower, they're going to die to the tower. You could just soak it up. Or if they're right here, for example, and the lane minions are all fighting in the middle, let them push towards the tower. You could try to maybe take one last hit, two last hits, but I wouldn't recommend pushing it up. Let your laner come back to lane and push it up themselves. That'll help them maintain the level gap. The only times where I say you can take the mid lane and push it up to make it bounce back is your mid laner just died and it's just sitting there in the middle. He's gonna slow farm it more than likely. Just push it up, make it bounce back. By the time your mid laner comes back up to being alive again, they'll come back and have a full wave of minions. Second thing is how to keep your kill and gold lead. So keeping up your kill and gold lead, as you can see right now, I am 2-0 with 2k gold to spend, and we can go spend that right now, right after this camp. You always, if you get this lead where you're significantly ahead of the opposite jungler, which in this case I am, he is 0-1, I am 2-0. I've cleared a lot of jungles. He may have gotten the first Fangtooth, but that's not on purpose. It's definitely something to consider. Is trying to stay alive and keeping that lead. How can you do that? Well, the first way you can do that is by clearing a camp, one singular camp, and then going for another gank. You want to put a lot more stress on the other jungler to do something outside of his jungle camps rather than you. Essentially what I'm saying is you want them to have a headache of you constantly ganking lanes and having to help other lanes, so that way he takes a while to farm off of his jungle, which can delay a increase on his crest by killing jungle minions and or getting levels and gold, because he has to go defend other lanes, and because you just keep being a nuisance and trying to gank other lanes, put them behind. So that's how you can put it. Another way is capitalizing on secondary objectives. For example, Doodlebob is on right, is fucking around with the offlaner and the jungler. In this case scenario, he's losing, he's running back. They're probably gonna try to take the tower. They don't know I'm here, and we're just gonna take this orb from under them. If you cannot help your offlane in this situation because your offlane is just getting whooped and he's dying, just in this case, just go for the secondary objective. It's not worth having 2 deaths. If they take the tower, they take the tower. Remember, I don't know if you watched the previous video, but if you did, on how to be a better offlane, towers are expected to go down between 10 to 15 minutes, at least the T1s. So take advantage on the time. As you can see, we wasted their jungler and offlane's time trying to take down a T1. Meanwhile, I got in an upper hand on taking the secondary objective, which allows me to come to do this, kill everybody, and help my offlane do a little bit more. And that's how you keep the lead, right? Get the orb prime, you could give it to your offlaner if he's not dying and being put behind. At this moment, the jungler is severely behind. He only has 82 CS, which is not too bad, but he's definitely 2 deaths in, which definitely makes an impact on his timing. And we can just take over his second T2, and bam, just like that, you recover. You maintain a much higher lead now. Remember, this is a game of chess, right? You want to, there's gives and takes. You either sacrifice the pawn or taking over, you know, a knight, you know, the queen, etc., right? Once you got that lead and you're ahead, more than likely your lanes are not going to be winning, and they are going to want to take some of your 3 camps and your jungle camps, which is completely okay. sometimes. I know it can be infuriating to give your dual lane the 3 camp if you're really behind, and then that's totally understandable. But if you're 4 kills in, 2 kills in, 1 kill in, 3 kills in, whatever, and you got a 3 Fang Tooth or whatever, it's okay to let your dual lane have a 3 camp. You're really ahead. The only way that you can probably benefit in helping is by maybe letting them have a 3 camp. Maybe your offlaner can take a 5 camp. You can even give up your blue to your mid laner. You can give up your red to your carry. I would recommend the bigger buffs to be given around 20 minutes into the game. The reason I say that is because if you do, you basically allow them to have a little bit more potential in the team fights. The blue giving the mid lane a little bit more mana to endure longer team fights, and maybe the carry lane taking the red to do a little bit more damage in the team fights, etc., etc. Around 20 minutes, it's okay to give the blue and the red. One of the very important key aspects to jungle is also to notate map positioning. For example, right now, the Shinbi on the offlane is currently overextended as she's retreating. Currently past our mid river. Take this mid river as a boundary, a line between the two teams. If the enemy is past the river or at the river line, it's a potential gank. Go for it. All right. If they're behind here, it's going to be a little bit harder. Maybe you can get away with an invade. You got to keep tabs on every single lane. That's why it's such a hard lane. You got to make sure everybody's in good positioning. My gadget's overextended. He is going to be easily ganked by the enemy jungler or another laner, and sometimes we're going to have to go help him, etc. And in this position where they're fighting in the right in the river line, it can be kind of rough because they're a little close to their tower. They can just stun me. But like I said, you want to see maybe if you can get a blink off, if you can just have you know, somebody do something, right? As they're retreating, they're gonna stun me, try to do whatever they can. They backed up, do a little bit of damage. That's not really a good time to gank, so you always want to keep an eye out for map positioning. The next thing I do want to cover is when to prepare to take Fangtooth and Prime. One of the included things of map awareness is the timers on objectives. As you can see, 100 seconds on the river, and it looks like the Fangtooth is about almost halfway there, which is 160 seconds, so a little bit more than 2.5 minutes, if my math's not wrong. So around the halftime is kind of where you're just like, okay, you can get away with ganking, you can get away with pushing towers, you still got a little bit of time before the objectives are up. Now in this case, look at the Prime. It is 17 minutes and 50 seconds in. This should come up before the big Prime is up. Within the 60-second mark, which is a little bit less than a quarter of the time remaining, is when you want to talk to your team and suggest that you want to make sure we do not die and group up for the objective. Well, what do I mean by group up? What I mean by grouping up is make sure to tell your laners to set their lanes by killing the enemy ranged minions, like so, and then let it push on its own. Let it slow push. The reason you wanted to let it slow push because it buys you time for them to slowly go to the tower and them to realize, oh crap, we have to go defend the tower. It'll throw them off because now they're gonna have to go defend left, they're gonna have to go defend right, which allows you and your team to group up to take the orb objective. So now the enemies are retreating to the left and right, and they're gonna go defend the waves. Now's the time to group up and take the objective on Prime Pit. Have your teammates show up, and just note when it's a quarter on time or less, consider telling your team to not overextend. Consider that your team needs to have time to rotate and prepare, go back and buy whatever items, and etc. So timers are really, really important in this concept. Okay, a lot of the times teammates won't listen, and you'll get those people. So that's one key thing to remember on timing. Make sure your lanes are pushed up and ready to be taken on, and essentially have everybody be prepared. By the time it's a quarter time, that by the time you guys reach here, it'll be 15 seconds remaining, and etc. I also want to cover another good time to take it is when you make kills. Let's say you kill the mid lane, and he's a very crucial part of the team. For example, he is dead now. Now is a good time to take a look for a secondary objective. You want to make the advantage on your side the best it can be. This can go even for the dual lane. Maybe you killed the carry and maybe left a damaged support, and the support got away. Or you see the jungler, which is probably one of the most absolute important roles, because if you kill the jungler, that means there's no smite, which means it's really hard to contest your team from taking an objective, right? I would prioritize this a little bit. You want to go for the carry lane because it's a little bit easier to take, and you want to take the jungler next if you don't if you're not able to take the carry lane. Then after that, I would take the mid lane and try to cover those 3 lanes as a priority on killing before you take an objective like Fangtooth or Mini Prime. It just sets you up for a little bit of an easier take, and prevents the enemy team from contesting it and having to go defend lanes. If all lanes are losing between carry, mid lane, and jungle, if they're completely losing, who should you help? Personally, I would definitely try to help the dual lane, try to get them ahead. Try to help the most potential winning lane. Your dual lane is losing, your mid lane's losing, your off lane's losing, but your dual lane can recover. It's easy to set up kills and comebacks with your dual lane because she can scale a lot more nicely and eventually snowball into better advantage than the opposite lanes. For example, like mid lane can be impactful in teams, but not too impactful in the sense that they can shred everybody, right? And the off lane can technically push up and only take inhibitors and towers, so it kind of takes a little bit of time, right? So that's how I would prioritize it, essentially. I'm even going to put a little pause on this video right here because I do want to reset this AI match and just kind of cover a little bit more basic scenarios. So we kind of covered a little bit of the early game, who to help, what to do, where to ward, when to use your sentry, etc. Timing, Rev. Honestly, yeah, timing is definitely crucial. And that's what I was trying to say. Importantly, is learning how to watch timers. Timers help you kind of come up with a plan every single game and a route, essentially, and allows you to do something on your own play style. Come up with a route for your own play style. Like I said, each character plays differently. Each character is going to have like their own different route. For example, Kalari is going to be a little bit more of a ganking menace, and Kai will be a little bit of mixer of both, and then Richter will just be like a farming simulator, you know? No two games are ever the same for each jungler. Exactly, and that's something to cover to know. Okay, back to the video. So I had to rewind this AI mode because the previous one ended way too early, and this role is still too complex and too broad to cover all in one game. One thing I need to mention is when you're ahead and your lanes are winning, sometimes some other lanes will be losing, right? Obviously, people will have bounties on them. For example, let's say this off laner is completely annihilating our Fang Mao. He's killed him 3 times. You're gonna see a little gold number. You always want to try to get those bounties off of the leaderboard and try to take them or give them to your offlaner or your respected laner, just so they can recover and allow them to bounce back into the fight and cover that. So keep an eye out on those. As far as I was talking about on timing, it's definitely remember to consider that there's always a rhythm per character in the jungle. For example, Chimera kind of has a little bit of an advantage on ganking and farming. He can clear waves or jungle camps really easily. Like he could just annihilate this and just go for a gank right after, right? Each character has a rhythm. I like to clear 3 camps or clear a side, then gank, take river, and then probably gank again, or if not, then go invade or go clear the rest of my side back, get an item, and then take an objective. Right, so that's one thing to note, that each character plays differently in the jungle, and as far as the video goes, Chimera is definitely ahead. And you can probably sneak a Fangtooth with this character, which is I've seen it happen very large amount of times. Where you're playing Kai and you have so much health regen, you could just probably sneak out an objective. As you can see, mid lane is busy, or dual lane is busy, and oh no, here comes the Kalari. He knows what's going on. What do you do here? Do you stick to the Fangtooth? Well, I like to kill the jungler first. Try to use your range to your advantage, because the Fangtooth prioritizes whoever's closest to them. So if the enemy's jungler is sitting in here, always try to stay outside of the ring. Have them be on the inner ring, because the Fangtooth is going to be autoing them, right? And as you kill the jungler, now you're open to take the secondary objective, have your dual lane rotate, or you can probably just take it by yourself. But here comes my Countess coming to help. You can definitely do a lot of time spent taking objectives as Kai. He just has the advantage. He's the king of the jungle, in my opinion. Very versatile. Possibly could fall off late game. Some people beg to differ, but he's probably one of the best junglers ever. So you take the objective, and it's completely whittled down, and now your lanes are kind of ahead. You got a little bit of a momentum building up. See, this is where I kind of like involve my rhythm. Now that I've taken the objective, I'll go clear my camps and kill off whatever I need to do, back for an item, and then, like I said, it's just building a rhythm on the timings. Rivers are coming up. You know what? Before I back, let's go take a river. It's 2 seconds in. Let's go take the river. Maybe look for a gank. Let's use all of our kit. Maybe we can go mid lane is a little bit better of example. As you can see, these 2 laners are completely overextended in the mid lane. I could probably help since I have an item advantage. Maybe my mid lane can help me and not run away from me like she just did. And bam, recovered. Ooh, okay, now you can go back. So like there's trade-offs to the jungle. You either leave a 5 camp to go help a lane, or you take the river camp and go use all your abilities. You just got all your mana back. Just go use it, right? There's no reason to back right away. I know you want to get that second item, but sometimes it could be really crucial to just walk away from a camp and go help your lane get a kill. Build your rhythm, find your rhythm. Each character is going to be different. Go help your lanes that are typically winning. Let's say your one of your laners is being camped, for example. It's typically the off lane that I notice, or dual lane that seems to be getting camped all the time. Take it with a grain of salt, right? When people say, where is my jungler? Their jungler has been here 5 times. Whether or not you show up, it could definitely change the pace. But you can also use that time to put them behind for doing so. If they're constantly camping your offlaner, this allows you to take Mini Prime. This allows you to take Fangtooth. This allows you to go take the enemy jungle. There's so much things you can do when a jungler is just completely pulling one of your laners. So I have a question here. Shouldn't the jungler actually be ganking mid and ADC over the solo lane? Yes, 100%. I am reinforcing that idea. Like, see, we should be camping these guys because these are going to scale a lot more easier than the rest of the lanes. It's essentially going to be the most impactful because they're going to snowball, right? Want to delay that snowball as much as possible. That's why offlane is kind of more of a 1v1 situation. Yes, you can help them, but you don't want to win their lane for them. That's not your responsibility, right? Okay, that's one of the more key functions in jungle, is to adapt to your situation. That's why it's such a hard lane, because things change very easily and very sporadically, right? You don't know when it's going to change. Somebody can just be winning a dual lane fight, and then all of a sudden, bam, they just lost because their jungler just came to help them, and they just get destroyed, you know? Everyone blames jungle. Yeah, that's why I said at the video, you're going to get heat for this. You're going to get fucking blamed. But remember, it's your responsibility for taking care of the secondary objectives as much as you can and helping your lanes win the fight. It's not your responsibility to win the lanes for them. That's on their own, man. They gotta learn how to outplay their laners. If you can't outplay your laners, you're doomed from the start. And that's something you guys, like, a lot of people need to grasp. People don't understand that jungle cannot win the lane for you. Because you gotta multitask this jungle. You gotta do a lot. You gotta do ganking, you gotta do your own jungle, you gotta do secondary objectives, you gotta do invading, you gotta do counter jungling, you gotta do a counter ganking, you know? Okay, continue this part. This is a perfect place to resume. Okay, we just cut a double pick on that, the mid lane and the jungler. At this time, you can back real fast, right? Recover whatever HP you got. Countess is a little beat up, Richter's a little beat up. At this point, you want to recover all your HP, get whatever last items you need, and immediately go for the objective, right? There, you have the time advantage. They're down for 20 seconds. Beat them to the race. They're going to be put behind. They still have to travel about 20 to 25 seconds worth to get to the objective. So it buys you a little bit of time to do something. At this point, this is a really big key concept I want to cover, is positioning in the pits of the objectives. This is huge, guys, huge, because this can alter your team fights significantly. How I like to layer it, and how I think it'd be more efficient and advantageous, is layer it like this. Your carry lane sits all the way in the back. This prevents them from being jumped in the beginning. You might have them jump on them from over the tops. You never know. But this is essentially more of a safer spot for the carry to be doing damage. You never want to stand over there, stand over here. Maybe you can stand right here, but you mainly want to stand right here, right? Then it's going to be you, the jungler, taking the objective, right? And then at this point, this is exactly how I kind of want my Countess too. I want her to be on this side, a little bit more to the stairs, throwing abilities to the objective while I'm tanking it, because this allows her to either commit to the Fangtooth and or commit to the team fight. The next two people I would want is my offlaner and my support on either sides to basically build the wall against the intrusion of the enemy team. Because if I'm entering right here and I see an offlane and a jungler, or sorry, offlane and a support right here that are ready to stun me and pull me in and, you know, turn the fight, I'm gonna be a little bit afraid, right? It's a really good setup to allow your jungler and your carry to take the objective together. It is pretty fast. You guys do a lot of damage. Your mid laner can drop abilities too, or kind of be ready for the switch to the team fight, right? My rule of thumb is when you're taking an objective and let's say the team shows up, right? This is one big key thing. It is at 9, it has 9k health, you're whittling it down, you're destroying it, and oh no, team shows up. What should you do in this position, right? Do you turn or do you commit? My rule of thumb is if it's around 2,500 HP or more, you wanna turn, right? 2.5k HP, you wanna turn and just group up, team fight, get the team fight, and then get the objective. If it's less than 1,500 HP, Around 1500 HP to 2000 is kind of when I would consider like, hey, we should fight this and we should commit this and take it. This is a really important concept. Carry back there, jungler here, mid lane right there, off laner support back there if they're tanky, and get ready to turn. So right here it's like, fuck, they're right here, they're turning in. What do we do? Well, you can probably try to burn it as quickly as you can and smite it, right, and take it. Or around 3k HP, you have your mid laner engage with your support and off lane for a fight, cause them to use their abilities, and you just basically try to annihilate the jungler as a priority, right? You always want to target the jungler or the carry. Jungler first, so you can prevent the smite. Carry second, if so they don't turn the fight around. Third would be the mid lane to also prevent the turnaround, and then lastly the tanks, which would be probably the off lane or the support, right? That's very, very important. There's so many fights that have happened in my prime pit or the Fangtooth pit where they just completely turn that fight around, and it's crucial. It's crucial, guys. All right, guys, we're back at it. We're in the end game. We got 2 inhibs down. We're taking the objective. Primal. We're down 1 man, unfortunately, and we're taking this objective. We're not being contested. This is great, right? This is great. We're taking the objective. Cool. At this point, you're taking the primal objective, and you see that their inhibs are down, right? They're all up, but they're at the disadvantage to the point where they have to defend their lane. At this point, I would definitely try to attack Orb Prime. Group up with your team and attack Orb Prime. This is a perfect time to do it. Luckily, the Fangtooth Primal is on our side, but that gives us a little bit of an advantage to it. We get a little bit easier access to it. Once we kill it and burn it, we immediately want to jump on this orb, because if we jump on this orb, at the moment we have a damage buff. They have to go defend lanes. I'm over here burning this thing. We just need our group to show up and we take it. Like I said, keep your formation tight. Get ready for any unexpected people to show up. It's essential to understand that anything could possibly happen right here, right? This is a make or break. They either push the wave significantly enough to make an impact on their lanes and then just immediately rotate over to the objective. So remember that, guys. Remember, it's crucial right here. Carrier right here, jungler here, mid lane there, support and off laner there. Pretty much securing the perimeter for you guys and ensuring that you take this objective. If it's at 3k HP or more, turn and fight, guys. Turn and fight. Kill that jungler, kill that carry. If it's at 2.5k or less, try to commit to it and try to burn it as quick as you can. Obviously, it took me a little bit longer because my teammate's not helping me in AI. It's just how the cookie crumbles in AI. And at this point, you've taken all the objectives. Now you can do your final push. Now you're in the end game. You can either invade and take whatever camp is needed. You know, invade them. They're at the punishment of their doings, right? And you want to be your best initiator. Have your offlane or support initiate for you, and you essentially want to just keep initiating for your fight as a jungler. Push the inhibs and obviously go for the win. I know this was a lot, guys. I had to rewind 2 matches back to back on AI just to cover a little bit of every single concept. There's a little bit of everything, guys, and it's too much to explain in one match. AI kind of goes too ahead, and you know, it can be very convoluted and be a little interesting, right? So we're gonna jump into a real match and apply these concepts and see how we can get into the scenarios, right? Okay, welcome back, guys. We are jumping into a player versus player match to put these concepts into play and see how this goes. Hopefully we're expecting a win here. If this is a loss, we're probably not going to put it in the video, but just because I want to cover a little bit more of what I need to cover. So if you're seeing this, we won the game. All right. Basic strategy, guys. Early game concepts. Let's go put that ward. Be aware of possible enemy invade and kind of keep a lookout. At this point, I do want to mention too is that you could invade right off the bat and go for the red. It's a little risky because the dual lane and mid lane can turn on you if you're not fast enough or if you're not hidden well enough, and it can kind of mess you up, right? So that's something to note. And just like we said before, 35 seconds, just kind of keep an eye out, look for any possible person that may be lurking around the corners. Maybe they're going to try to take your blue buff right off the bat, right? You never know. Never know. Okay, anyways, we're backing 20 seconds. We should be at the red buff right on time. Put the sentry up. We take the jump pad. Take this red buff. Start clearing. Okay, maybe like 1 second, 2 seconds behind. 23 seconds, 24 seconds is when you want to make sure the backing is going on. Take this red. I like to kind of look around on the map, look at my lanes, kind of keep an eye out for the health bars. I know you can see them on the top left, but it's a little bit visually more appealing when you're looking around. Be aware. By the time I take this second camp, I can either go for third camp or go for a level 2 gank, depending on the position of the enemy players. We could do either or. Okay, right lane is not overextended. Mid lane is not overextended. We have enough time to clear our third camp, get level 3. Right lane is kind of fighting. Dual lane is kind of having their own battle. Okay, bam. We got level 3. Level 3 just got they just got level 2 ganked on dual lane. At this point, we can probably go try to counter gank. Probably try to get a kill. We got the double kill. Meanwhile, we may die. I got the double kill. Whatever. Okay. Got the double kill. That's what you kind of want to do. Get the rhythm. Get the 3 camps. You saw somebody get a level 2 gank on dual lane. They stayed a little bit too long. Let's go capitalize on that. Let's just not give it to them for free, right? Trade-offs. Give and take. Give and take. We're even on the board now. The jungler has 2 kills. I have 2 kills. We're good. We're good. This is not necessarily a loss, right? Not necessarily a loss at all. Right lane is low, but they're in their tower. Not a good gank. Mid lane just backed also, so we're not going to consider that into being ganked. Let's clear our jungles. Let's try to get to the next level. Right, we try to hit level 4 off of these camps, hopefully. As you can see, Chimera's a little bit greedy. I can get away with a little bit more tower dives. I can get a little bit of more sustain throughout the fights, which can definitely be impactful. Offlane just died, but that's okay. We're gonna try to see if we can help as soon as we can. Obviously, offlane is never the priority. We're always going to try to get the dual lane ahead. If they're overextended, go gank them. If mid lane's overextended, as you can see, mid lane is a little bit by the river. Not necessarily out of reach, but could be better. We could just try to get her blink out right here. Just like this. There, bam. We got the blink out. Perfect. That's all you got to do. Jungle is not too complicated as it needs to be, right? Rivers are coming up. Let's make sure we get this river. See, now she's gonna have to back. Now she has no mana. What is she ever gonna do? Who knows? She's trying to bait a fight. There's 2 people in the jungle. Tara's trying to look for something. She's trying to look for something in mid. We're gonna try to clear this camp. Let's not waste time. Let's try to be proactive with our time. Gotta make sure that it is sort of warded. As you can see, they're on him right now. I'm on my way to help him. Counter gank this. Unfortunately, we lose that 1v1. It happens. It happens. We got the counter trade. We unfortunately lost the 1v1. She got the shield off. She has a little bit of sustain. No problem. No problem. Let's get our item. At this point, we've taken our left side. Dual lane is going to be okay for now, at least. Unfortunately, the off lane is going to be a little ahead. I'm on my way to the right. As you can see, he's kind of chasing for that kill. He's kind of hungry for it. I don't know why that stopped me. That was a little weird. At that point, you know, luck of the draw. Hopefully, you get a better engage. Whatever. As you can see, he's engaging right now. No, don't. Oh, you missed your ult. Three, two, one. We get to back out. Oh. Your team, my team is capitalizing on the Fangtooth. They're able to take it. And essentially should have been okay. We're gonna get flamed for this match, I guess. Okay, whatever. We take the kill. We got to punish. Unfortunately, they beat us to the punch on the Fangtooth. See, things can definitely change really fast. All right, so many things can change. Try to attack this right lane. There you go, that's blink out. Attack orb. Fun. Oh my god, our mid lane is nowhere to be found. Things like that just happen, right? And now we're a little bit behind. We're 5-3. Our team is a little bit behind. I gotta farm up. I gotta maintain my level. As much as I wanted to take mini prime, we could not because we got killed in the right lane, and it's not gonna be that great for me. Gotta try to catch up on levels. We want to be level 6 by, or sorry, level 7 by now, and try to take that. I'm telling you guys, this lane is not for the weak, man. You're gonna get flamed a lot, and you're gonna be in trouble a lot of the time because they're so reliant on you. It happens, man. It happens. There we go. There you go. See, we turned the fight around. See, that's what I mean. You just kind of have to adapt to your scenarios. I was gonna go for a gank. It failed. Then the enemy jungler counter ganked. Then you just have to switch up. We had to completely turn around and go fight that again, right? Things like that is really essential to jungle. Being on your tippy toes and on your feet all the time, aware of every possible situation that may or may not happen, is a very key thing to jungle. I could have just ignored that and my Morgesh would have died and we would have gotten anything, right? It's a whole mental game, guys. You gotta consider that everybody is doing their own thing, and you have to make sure everything on everybody else's plans are kind of going according to your plan, right? It's an involvement of everybody and not just yourself, and it's important. As you can see, Fang Tooth's about to be up. We gotta group up. As you see, our dual lane is getting jumped right now. This is what I mean. Once somebody dies, they have the advantage on this. We're gonna try to engage here. Focus the carry. Secondary is a jungler. That's the jungler down. Now we get Fangtooth. Recover. We bounce back. We bounce back 100% of the time. What is this guy doing? Okay, he's good. Nope, he's not good. He dies. You always want to bounce back. Take advantage of the situations. You just killed the jungler and the carry. That's an easy W for Fangtooth. Just like that. Bam. Bouncing back. On top of your game at all times. Careful right, missing mid. Sometimes you have to ping out stuff for people because your laners won't. For example, this mid is not saying missing mid and not following his mid lane. And you have to consider those things. You have to go help him, right? So we lost 2 people, but we killed 2 people. We lost Mini Prime, and then they lost 1 tower. It's not necessarily the best trade in the game, but gotta make do what you got, right? You can't do everything for everybody. You cannot do every single thing for everybody. There's no way I missed that. Dude, like, okay, I need people to follow up. Holy. Unfortunately, you just get things like that, man. You try to get the kill, try to change something, but can't get away with it always. And that's the game of the jungle, guys. Game of the jungle. Hopefully we can recover. Unfortunately, our carry is 1 and 4, and so is our steal is 0 and 4. Sorry, J-Man, but I tried helping you a lot of times. We gotta step up our game there. I can't win your lane for you. I would suggest at this point, if you're on comms with your team, having them group up with you is probably the best idea. I would stop pushing right lane steal and start rotating with your team and doing better team fights 5v4s instead of 1v1s. It's just better. Just set the lane by killing the ranged minions and then rotating outside of your lane for a good group up. There you go. Got 1. She stunned me right after. I tried taking that. We didn't let her back, so there you go. Perfect. Pivotal right there. You're gonna commit to it. Commit to it 100%. Make sure your team follows up with you. Fangtooth's about to be up. Gotta make sure they're not dying before Fangtooth's up. We're gonna need help on right as well.
An enemy tower is under attack.
Try to kill the jungler. There you go. There we go. See, we got the jungler. That's it. Take Fangtooth here. We commit to this. Thank you for showing up, Steel. You did great. Look at that. Look what that Kwang's doing. He's trying to check T2, but who cares, man? We just won the team fight. You just gave us the chance to get Fangtooth. Now we just set lanes. Now we just set lanes. We go help right. We can just bounce back on the right lane. Oh, biggie. There you go. Everybody's missing. Everybody is missing. Three, two, one. There we go. We turn that around. Yep. Get this guy. Just like that. Oh boy, let's try to help this mid lane not die. We got orb. Go fire group up. Everybody needs to go on orb. Left lane is being set. The carry's on left. This is a great position to be in. They don't have an off laner to be a tank. We are taking this objective. Carries all the way in left. That means they have no damage. Mid lane is there in mid. Support's there. I'm gonna have to save my cleanse for when they join in, and this is where it comes crucial, right? They're gonna jump in and probably try to go help this. Get the jungler out of the way. There we go. We got the jungler. Let's commit to this. Perfect. Just like that. Just how you saw. You see how they jump in? We all coordinated well as a team. We killed the jungler first, prevented them from getting the smite. I'm alive still. At the loss of our steel was great at frontlining and tanking and taking all the damage. That's exactly how we do it. You see how I switched off of the orb to go fight, right? It was at 4,000 health, maybe 3,000. And I was like, well, by the time we start taking this, they're going to be beating us up already. Let's just turn and kill this jungler to ensure that we can get this objective. And that is exactly the point I'm trying to make, guys. That is very important. That could make or break your game. We could be at a loss right now if we didn't get that. And then we go help. We go get the carry. Carry's next. Carry's dead. Next is the jungler. Maybe the mid lane, actually. This guy alive. He's dead. That's it. Unfortunately, we lost. Our carry is nowhere to be found. After you get Orb Prime, you generally want to group up. Unfortunately, we made the mistake that not everybody did. But, you know, it happens. At least we got the objective. I'm a little bit more fed now. And they surrendered. Okay, just like that, guys. Easy as that, right? How we turned that fight. We lost some, but we turned it around. We were able to capitalize on their mistakes, take objectives. We lost the first objective, but we bounced back by killing their whole team. And that's why jungle is really hard, because you kind of have to rely on your teams to win. And there's a lot of things to consider. Everybody has their own game going on, so don't take it to heart if people flame you for anything. As you can see, someone in my match was like a little upset that I wasn't there for that first Fangtooth, but look at that. I capitalized on taking on the rest of the objectives. I can't do everything at once. Not multiple people, and it is what it is. It is what it is. Now, we win those. And that concludes the how to be a better jungler. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to everybody who asked questions. If you're interested in watching this live, check out the Twitch link in the description. If you're interested in watching it on TikTok, there's a TikTok link in the description. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.